Today's interview is brought to you by Macabre Marketing. If you're in the indie horror field, movies, authors, YouTubers, and podcasters, check out Macabre Marketing. They are amazing when it comes to press releases, interviews, social media management. They know how to put your name out there. And if you're in the indie horror, you definitely need that upper hand to help you stand out. So please check out Macabre Marketing and tell them that the Horror Room sent you. Hello everyone, welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I'm doing another indie horror spotlight. I have the directors of an amazing horror comedy podcast that's going to be coming out around about Christmas, and it's called Diablo. I have with us here today Greg Talley and Haley Capone.
Hi.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I'm doing great. Hi.
So, thank you for coming on. Thanks for coming on. So tell us a little bit about Diablo.
It is a Faustian bargain where it's set in 1976 at the height of disco, and there is a disco champion named Gino Testosterone, and he challenges the devil Hades Tarantella to a disco dance-off, and if he wins, he gets Hades Disco Nightclub, and if he loses, the devil gets Gino's soul. So it's kind of like if Bubba Hotep meets Airplane.
And I love both of those movies. By the way, Bubba Hotep, I think, is one of Bruce Campbell's finest pieces of
I agree. Absolutely. Hands down.
So what gave you the inspiration?
I was working on a couple of films, and I find one of my best inspirations is driving back and forth across the Western U.S. And I had just wrapped on one set and was headed back up to pack up some gear on the set that I had wrapped like 2 weeks earlier on, and then head home to Colorado. And in all those hours of just burning up the road in the desert, I usually start with a title, and just the words Disco Diablo popped into my head. And I was like, oh my God, how fun would it be to do a disco horror movie? And the idea of, sort of taking the classic Charlie Daniels, idea, but rather than some sort of fiddle contest, it's like two guys in leisure suits discoing, with high stakes disco. I mean, it seemed fun and silly, and it's stayed true to that, all the way up through our recording sessions today.
And he's failing to mention that he also wrote this in 3 days?
3.5.
3.5. Well,
3.5 days. Wow.
Yeah, and it's a full script. It's a full feature. So.
Now, were there any challenges from going from being a filmmaker to now doing more of an audio podcast?
My history is backwards, where I started with podcasts. I own a dinosaur-themed hotel in Lakewood, Colorado, and it's like staying at a natural history museum, and remodeled to be like a night at the museum back in 2013. Well, my then partner at the time and I were nearly featured on a reality show done by Craig Plestis, who went on to do Masked Singer, and we got shopped about 15 networks, but that spun off a Mystery Science Theater podcast, which spun off with a local theater troupe that I put together. We were making audio plays, and I just started getting further and further and further inroads into LA, into Hollywood, with all of these crazy plays. So post-pandemic, been making movies nonstop, and met this wonderful human being on a set out in LA, and that's a whole story in and of itself. But the strike has caused a lot of things to happen, and one of those is that a lot of us are taking a breather and focusing on other parts of life, and that's it's been an absolute joy to go back to the roots of my Colorado podcast efforts and form a studio with Hallie called Collywood Studios and start making some films and some audio plays.
It's actually a way for us to, like, where we're casting for other projects right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a way for us to give, people within, we started a film club out here too. And so it gives people within our film club just something to do to get IMDb credits to keep going. And then also a way for us to just copyright further our own IP on the idea. Because I'm always worried about even putting things in the air, and like Disco Diablo is such a great name that I was like, well, we should just keep, doing this in another medium until we're able to actually film it, so that we have kind of a base, like, this is what our script is. This is what we're, kind of going for, at least in a film, quality. But when we don't have necessarily all the funds to make all the movies we want all at once, and we're already casting for a whole separate one, I'm like, well, we might as well just make this an audio play, and we have all the equipment and the whole setup here. So it's actually allowed us to do both, which is kind of fun. So
amazing. Yeah, I'm a part of a lot of the Facebook indie horror groups, and Michael Joy actually made a post, and I said, Disco Diablo, what is this? And I was like, let me get an interview with them because I'm so curious what this is about. I mean, it, like you said, it is a pretty amazing title.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds, oh my God, super impressive that I wrote in 3.5 days, but it gestated, because like my idea for the idea, it hit in 2019. And so I sat on it and thought on it. And there were like 1 or 2 days of mapping things out, doing the outline, but it didn't just like I sat down and it's done. No, it was absolutely, a very deliberative process. But when it was go time, it was go time. And I mean, what I do with my writing partners, or what I do with Hallie, is like we have the Damn Dirty Drive-In in conjunction with Collywood Studios, and that's where we show a lot of our audio, or play a lot of our audio plays. And the central troop of that is very much influenced by Jim Henson and Company, by Mad Magazine, a little bit of Saturday Night Live, but Monty Python. So like very classic, mid to late 20th century satire. And it can't be underemphasized, but also Rankin Bass, all of the holiday specials, because we wrote a ton. I mean, the most succinct way to describe our freewheeling style of mashups and parodies and anthologies is I call it audio Mad Magazine, and it's freewheeling in that way.
Amazing. Now, what are some of the benefits of you two being in a couple relationship, soon to be married? What are some benefits of being able to work with your partner, your life partner, and bounce off each other?
Oh my God. I mean, personally, I've never really had this type of relationship before, because I was the type of director that said I will never date an actor, ever. They're crazy people.
We are.
And so, it's a lot is new for me. It's different. So Disco Diablo, because he's benched and he can't act, he's in my realm now, and so he's directing with me, and I'm just very surprised at how well we work together, and that we're actually, I'm doing the audio for most of this, so I'm just sitting on the computer booping around, and he's behind me, we both give direction, but how much we agree, like on the takes, like it's consistently always like people's third take for some reason, but we'll have this moment, I'll nod my head, and then I'll turn behind me and see him totally agreeing with me. And so there hasn't been any challenges really, other than just our own stamina.
Sleep.
Sleep. Throughout this whole process,
the biggest challenge is shutting ourselves down for the night and sleeping. I mean, because we have a podcast studio and some office space here at the Dino Hotel, It's remarkably easy in the off season to house people, bring in friends, have the
Yeah.
film club drop by, and so I mean, we're just other than price of a couple plane tickets and feeding people. I mean, we're putting people up because it's easy, and so
This
like
experience was different though, and it's something we both have never done.
mhm,
So to have all of our friends around us
yes,
get to kind of hang out, have fun, goof around at night when we're not doing the thing.
hit the hot tub.
Hit the hot tub, just chill. Uh, it's been really nice, I mean, I didn't anticipate we get along very well, so I did not anticipate us like, grabbing each other's throats or something through this process. But even like, subtle differences like through takes, or where it's like I give one thing and there's never been a moment where he's like, oh, that's not how I want it. Like we listen to each other. We both, he, as far as like film industry experience, I think I have a little bit more, but I've been in the industry for almost 15 years. And I think that his industry before, even theater and pods and audio and all those things, I mean, they lend to film. And I personally can't wait to direct him, like actually
I'm
acting.
dying. We got a couple of vehicles we're sitting on for now.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. And just because we know each other and we love each other, so it's a little different, and so that'll be fun for me personally because that's something I've never done before. I've never directed someone that I've been in a relationship with. I've never done that. So
we had a long list of nevers.
Yeah.
We would never do this. We would never do that. And I think when we have a great beat, cute, but
never date a redhead.
Yeah, never date a redhead. But when we met, it was just that all went out the window.
Yeah.
We pretty quickly knew.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, I'm gonna ask you first. What's one thing about Holly that you're like, wow, I wish I had that? When it comes to filmmaking, film industry, what's one thing?
I mean, I have some of what she has, but not to the same degree. But I would say her passionate resilience. I mean, she is someone who has had a lot of life thrown her way through the years and refuses to let life subdue her. She is very singularly focused on making art, and that passion and I mean, she's a walking Chumbawamba song. She always gets up again, and I'm absolutely blown away by her ability to adapt, to thrive, to walk into a situation, assess it quickly, and then figure out the best way to get where she needs to be, where we need to be, to continue making the art that brings us joy.
Okay.
Thank you. Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So do I get the same question?
Yes, same question.
Okay. I've had this whole time to think about it. I think as a director, I would like a little bit more of Greg's nurturing qualities. He's a nurturer. And so I'm very much a conversationalist with my directing. I'm very much, and so sometimes I see him asking, people for water. And I'm like, oh shit, I should be doing that. Like little things like that. Yeah, I adore his nurturing quality on set. Absolutely. And we're both hard workers, but I absolutely admire his hardworking ability as well. So
it's amazing. And you both have worn many hats in the film industry, everything from acting to writing, producing, directing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think by throughout your career wearing those many hats that it gives you a little more respect for each facet of filmmaking?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly. I've been when I first moved to LA, I thought I was going to be a screenwriter only. And then I quickly realized, oh, you have to make your own movie if you want people to, care about you. And so after, I think the biggest realization was me actually acting as a director. I'd been directing for a number of years, and then I finally just stepped into the hot seat into a lead position and not just oh, someone called out today, I can play the background, or oh, I can, little stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so once I was actually a lead, I already had respect for actors, but it went a whole different level because I have never been that nervous. I have never, I thought I could remember all my lines. I couldn't. There was a lot of things, and I worked really hard at it too. It wasn't like I was, just sloughing off or something. But no, my respect for actors is like paramount because of that experience.
Greg?
What's the question?
I knew you were going to do that. All the hats.
But
out of all the hats. I mean, honestly, I come from I mean, every facet of a production has a different kind of creativity. There's a lot of people who have office jobs, who answer emails, do correspondence, who do the relationship side of things. Normal office work has its own creative rhythms. It's just sort of functioning at like a lower level of creativity and problem solving, versus like laying down a script or, whatever. But I mean, I argue that most facets of production have some creative reward. And coming from a hotel background, coming from a family, Southern family that very much values hospitality, my favorite place on a set is, as a producer, is to end up back in Crafty. If I have to be on the production side of things, absolutely. I want to be making the coffee and making sure people are fed. And one of my tricks is to walk around with a big old pot of coffee and pour it for crew members and offer them a Pop-Tart. I mean, it's amazing. Give somebody a, raspberry Pop-Tart. It's like, oh my God, I'm suddenly 5 again and I'm back in childhood. But I'm drinking coffee now.
Doesn't even matter if it's toasted. If it's 4:00 in the morning and you've been there for
just that little
12
rush.
hours, like you just someone that cares,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But it's sort of that bartender.
The question was though, do you find that you get more respect having the hats, all the hats that you're wearing?
It depends on, I mean, there's a lot of leadership that is thankless.
Yeah.
That people don't understand, and they're quick with criticism, but not quick with answers or with the offer to help. That's just baked in, particularly when you're running volunteer organizations.
I find producing a very thankless job.
Yeah, it usually is a thankless job.
It's not, and then even as a director, like I was saying earlier, telling actors that I've acted gives me more respect from them.
Yeah.
If you go up to people and you're like, oh, here's my whole, I mean, I have a list of I've made a movie with a 2-man crew.
Yeah.
A feature film. And so
You made a movie with 2 live crew?
I know.
Oh my God.
It's like I say it all the time. But yeah, I do like to toot my own horn about that because 1, it's never been done, and by man or woman, and 2, I know every job, because of that experience, I know every job. And when I tell people that, they don't believe me, which is frustrating, but then funny, at the same time. So really it kind of depends on who you're talking to. If you go up to people, certain types of people, and you're like, here's all the things I do. Sometimes they won't respect you because you're like, can you pick one, And then there's like other people that understand that like, okay, you actually do have to know more than one job to make a movie.
You really do.
And so, it depends on your experience within the industry, I guess.
To bring it full circle,
Mm-hmm.
I have been on enough indie sets as an actor and a producer to watch directors, and even though I've directed a few things, I absolutely do not want to be a director.
Why not?
No, it's honestly, if you're especially on a low budget indie set, you have to work 5 times harder than anyone there. You have to stay up half the night, usually doing your own DIT if it's ultra low budget, uploading all the files from the previous day's shoot, whatever physical punishment the crew or the cast are going through, you will be doing it tenfold. It's kind of lonely. I've watched many directors lost in their heads, kind of eating with a 10-mile stare while everyone else is laughing and socializing during meal break because they have to be thinking 3 steps ahead to what's about to happen next, both emotionally and logistically, and and all the shots they want. And I watched some world class directors do this, and I was like, that ain't for me. That ain't fun. I want to be back, handing out the Pop Tarts and pouring the coffee. That's where you're sitting and holding, behind Video Village, and you're joking with everybody. That's to me part of the enjoyable part of making a movie, especially a small indie, is the community that you can occasionally build. So I'm blown away by what Hallie does when she's out there directing, and I'm excited for the future where post strike or whatever comes next that I can't wait for her to be bossing me around while I'm in front of the camera. So
I would like to give, the directors that have a 10, because I don't know if you understand this, or maybe not everybody understands it. When you're on your feature film and you got like 50 million shots and you're sitting there and you're like, it's most likely because you're not blanking out. It's because you're reliving what happened over the last couple of days, and you're like, did I get this? Did I get that? Did I get that?
Yeah.
And you're cross-checking with all the things that you've written down. So I love that 10 mile, whatever length of distance it is. Like, I love those moments because I'm like reliving. Okay, did I get it? Oh my God, we're shooting a movie right now. This is great. Okay, awesome. I don't mind that stress. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stress. I think it's great. I was made for it.
Amazing. Now here's a touchy question. So with the increase of streaming services and all that good stuff, it's a lot easier for people to get movies made. I want to say movies put out there. How important is marketing right now if you're an indie filmmaker and getting
I think it's always important. It doesn't matter where your distributor lies, because if you say no major distributor wanted you and your personal major distributor worldwide to YouTube, always wants you, no one's going to find your YouTube if you're not telling people to go there, if you're not having, and then beyond that, people in the indie world, I think there's a lot of people that are more akin to how studios actually market things. Like, you got to have a good poster, you got to have, you got to have good things to entice people to actually go watch your movie. And that's never really gonna change, in my opinion. You can't really expect. You can stick your movie up on Tubi, and I think that you could probably still make money, even if it was in, the ABC spectrum of things. Like, a lot of producers like to name their titles ABC, so that they populate the first couple of pages, and that works. But also, a lot of people have glommed onto that little trick, and so now what's the next thing that works? And so, it's a constant discovery, I think, in the independent world, plus an endless money pit. If you really wanted to, you can spend money to market literally everywhere, if you really wanted to, but it's what's worth it. I always just say, like, don't blow, your entire budget on post budget, at least, like, on marketing. Save some for the people that, need to make score and all these other things. It's hard to plan out all of those things, especially when you're on a limited budget, but it's important. It's absolutely important. We all can't afford all the things that studios do.
Yeah.
But it's important. We can't be on bus stops necessarily, but it's absolutely important.
Because I've met. So I'm a marketing guy.
Oh, nice.
And I've met a lot of indie filmmakers who, like you said, doing an ABC thing, and they just hope that someone finds their project. And then I see the guys who did Terrifier, who were at every single convention, handing it, shaking people's hands, doing free autographs and pictures.
Right.
And I see people do it in the middle, but there's a lot of great, I go to a lot of horror conventions, and there's a lot of, I get introduced to a lot of indie filmmakers, authors, just by being there and them coming up and saying, "Hey, I'm Tom, and this is my movie."
But the horror world, I feel, it lends to that a little bit more. There's not, drama movie conventions. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Yeah.
There's not, there might be comedy movie conventions, but I've never heard of any of them. And so the horror con world within itself, I mean, is a perpetuator, absolutely,
Amazing.
and I think that you need to have all of those things, but not everybody can afford that. I mean, it's especially when people are making movies for 100 grand or less, it gets pretty tight, and so you have to kind of make your decision in advance. Like, do I want to be the con guy, or do I want to just throw it up, or do I,
See what
and so
happens.
there's no one has really written a book on this yet, as far as like streaming, like what is it, like, where are we going from here, and so there's no reference material. We're all just like running blind, hoping something,
Throwing it against the
like,
wall and seeing what sticks.
I mean, that's ultimately what filmmaking is, but especially independent filmmaking. I mean, you garner your own connections and hope. So.
Now, Disco Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there will be a sequel?
I actually have it mapped out decade by decade.
Really?
So yeah, I would love to return to this world and write video Diablo about the 80s. and so on and so on. No, another long car trip through the desert.
A lot of boxing of the face and
Exactly.
that one, definitely.
Exactly. But I really do think that yeah, you turn me loose with enough time and hopefully money. I'm happy to map out the larger vision of the Diablo world.
So, you guys been in the film industry for a while. Who have you grabbed some inspiration from throughout the years? Are there any filmmakers?
Well, absolutely, and I mean both in terms of like production and as well as artists and all of that. I mean, we both have a long list of favorite artists. We can talk about we went to the Festival de Cannes and
I already know who you're gonna say.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let you say that, but when we saw a movie that was absolutely a game changer. But before we get to that, what I look at is people collectors and people like Walt Disney, P.T. Barnum, even like Joel Hodgson with the Mystery Science Theater world. I've watched and observed these guys. Even Ed Wood did it, where they put together unique families of performers, and that becomes their creative family, and they work with the same people over and over and over again. And so like in sort of the macrocosm of artists, when I really a lot of the same people I admire, like Jim Henson, absolutely, not only were they creatively innovating, they were really good at putting teams together. So that's always like an overlooked skill. So
I think my list is probably too long for this interview. Most likely. As far as style, I will say Billy Wilder was a huge influence for me, just because Sunset Boulevard changed my life as a kid. I wanted to be her. I wanted to know her. I wanted to just be that character, and just like, I didn't understand her, but I knew she was fabulous. And Wim Wenders, we saw Perfect Days this year at Cannes, and it straight up changed my life. Like it's and who would have thought, a movie that literally just details a man in Tokyo cleaning toilets. That's the fucking premise. That's it.
It's like his life and what he goes through, but it's like we both sort of left the theater just absolutely stunned, our jaws hanging open.
No, not even stunned. I left sobbing, just all these happy tears. It was not tears of strife. It was joy, because I finally felt like a filmmaker. I finally felt like a filmmaker got me, and I got a filmmaker. Like fully.
Great.
And he's so vulnerable. Highly recommend that movie. I don't think it's out yet, but when it comes out, Perfect Days is just cinematography is glorious and it's beautiful. Just everything about it. It's literally when there's a film curse, you're not supposed to name your movies after people that have passed away or had accidents on films. And Perfect is also one of those film curses. You're not supposed to name your film Perfect because it will most likely be horrible. And it's a perfect movie. He lived up to the curse. It's a perfect film. I truly 11 out of 10. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll keep going. So stop me now.
So, Greg and Holly, what are some other projects that you're working on? I know you got a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
Right now, I mean, I have my movie that I made with the two-man crew. That's on YouTube. That's called Misfits of the Profane. And that's available to watch. Right now, I'm casting for Crime in the Vines, which we're hoping to shoot more towards the beginning of 2024. And I'm still absolutely casting for that film. So, if actors end up watching this, contact me.
It's Sideways meets Murder on the Orient Express meets Hitchcock's Rope.
It's heavy rope vibes. And that's why I like it.
It's a very, very, very funny movie that was based on a screenplay called Late Delivery, written by Ryan D. Smith, who's one of my long-term collaborators, and I helped convert it into the screenplay, Crime in the Vines, and that's part of the larger Crime in the Vines universe of Vino Noir is what we're calling it, which is a whole series of dark comedies and true crime stories and murder mysteries that are all set in and around wine country. So,
and awesome. I'm also casting for a short film called Reverie. And it's all up on Backstage right now, so very much available. And we also have another series. Like we both of our writing partners separately, us both wrote a whole series. So we're looking to produce both of those. Mine's horror. His is a little more mystery, but mine's called
dark comedy. Yeah.
Tales of the Wilderness. Gabriel Durst and I wrote that one, and we're looking to produce that more in the spring of next year. So we're casting. That's the mode that we're in right now. So all the actors, come find me.
Yeah.
How do you, because you're pumping out projects pretty quickly, how are you able to come up with your creative juices, all of these ideas back to back?
When it comes to my life, if it's horror adjacent, I have lived a very interesting life, and I have a lot of horrific stories to tell. And I think that horror, some of the best of it comes from very real things. And so I have a plethora. I mean, I consider it a gift. I don't want to squash it. And so ideas pop into my head all the time. I can't actually keep up with my brain. So it's a problem at this point. I have too much.
And for my part, my sensibilities are very much sort of that Ed Gorey, Chaz Adams, Tim Burton vibe of, it's not necessarily horror, but it's a deep appreciation for dark humor and the macabre.
Yeah.
And, like one of the things we did this year was we went and scouted for, I have done a cannibalistic retelling of A Christmas Carol called Soylent Scrooge.
It's amazing.
Or Christmas is Made of People. And it's about the British Empire going full on cannibal, but not completely realizing it, and Scrooge and Marley being very central to how they got there. So we were actually scouting. We've done some unit footage there. Did 2 trips to London. Did a lot of pickup footage over in the UK, and actually looking at using some of the mining towns around Colorado to Greek up and simulate Victorian London.
It's a very big project, so that one I'm also casting for, but that one we're looking at more towards next year, winter time kind of vibe.
You can go to our website, giveusallyourmoney.com, and we'll be happy to jump right on that. So, marketing.
Now, have you two ever came up with an idea that you were like, wow, fuck, I'm gonna have to shelve this because I don't think the world is ready for it.
Oh no.
Our marriage.
Yeah, maybe.
Seriously, I don't know of another ginger couple in Hollywood, and it makes people lose their goddamn minds.
Yeah, interesting reactions we've gotten. It's kind of funny.
I mean, people are okay with gingers and other, iterations, but for some reason, strawberry and strawberry, people's minds explode.
It's like it's like we get the Scooby Doo reaction or something. Just like, oh, yeah, they don't.
This is happening.
But in terms of projects, no, because you should always make your project. The world is always ready, even if it's not. I mean, the only thing that's ever stopped me is financial ability to make the blockbusters that I want to do. If I wrote $100 million blockbuster, that's probably not going to get made in the next couple of years. Who knows? Never say never. We never know.
You never know. But I mean, even with like the Dinosaur Hotel and all of my plans here and all of the plans I have yet to deploy in terms of art projects and amenities, it's like movies are no different. You run into your old nemesis, time and money.
Yeah. And that's why we're doing the podcast, is because if we have an idea that's just too big, I have a script that's 182 pages and it's epic and I love it. But I can't make it. At least I can. I just don't want to compromise what I see for, $10 or $20,000 or, something like that. So we're making it into a podcast.
Hold on to your ear holes. We'll blow your ears right off.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Okay. So this is a hypothetical question. What if I gave you $10 million right now, which I'm not going to give you because I don't have $10 million.
Yeah.
But what is the one project that you're like, with a $10 million budget, I would fucking do this right now?
I would dupe you and not use it for one project. I'd probably make like 20. Because I feel like $10 million for one project, given where I'm at right now, that makes me nauseous in my throat even thinking of spending that much money on a movie. I think I would give you 20 projects for that much money. Okay. I couldn't pick one, like that would.
But which one would you put the most?
The most money, it would be my blockbuster script, just because it's so expensive. I mean, it's like it's Demolition Man meets Mad Max meets. I mean, it's big. It's a post-apocalyptic world. So that would be my one. I would put it towards Almond Drone, my blockbuster script. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, as far as like what I would do, I mean, we formed Hollywood Studios. It's less an individual project for me than it is giving back to Colorado and making movies out here, and like, even if the movie isn't set in Colorado, finding ways to utilize and help and grow local filmmakers. I mean, I feel like outside of crazy dinosaur hotels and my children, my life's work is very much building the Colorado film community and building Hollywood as a larger culture.
So he would put his 10 million, because you're giving us 20, right?
Well, I'd go to Tijuana. I'd run it all from Tijuana.
Together.
He would put his 10 towards my project. That's ultimately that's what. Okay.
Yes, dear. Love you.
So I have a question. So I've been to Colorado once, and I can't think of the name of the place I went to. And I saw it from a South Park episode, and it's a Mexican restaurant that has cliff divers.
Casa Bonita. It is
Casa
10
Bonita.
minutes up the road from us. So if you ever want to come to Casa Bonita, which has actually been bought by Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Yeah, they own it now.
They own
really?
it now. There's now a giant Cartman statue inside of Casa Bonita. But I mean, like, I own one of the very few hotels, let alone Colorado landmarks, that's actually listed in Atlas Obscura. So they are our fellow tourist traps.
They're like one above us.
Yeah. Come on. They got those South Park bucks. I mean, we need those South Park bucks.
Yeah.
But
come out to Colorado. We'll take you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there once a couple years ago when I went to Colorado. It
was probably pre-Pandy and the before times. I mean, and
the food was horrible.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. Oh god. The thing is, they put a lot of money into it, and there's like high-end restaurant people involved.
Yeah.
So they're taking. I mean,
I heard the food was a little better.
Oh my God!
I
A little
haven't been
better.
there yet, though.
It was like
This was cafeteria,
like
worse than cafeteria.
dog food and dead rat. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was
And, it's like
disgusting.
and everyone in Colorado would say, okay, get the sopapillas, get the margaritas, and don't touch anything else. It was
All
like,
the food was horrible.
oh
But
no, you warned
everybody
your
told me.
friends because Casa Bonita stomach was a thing,
Oh, wow.
but they've totally kept this beautiful 1940s tourist trap cliff diving restaurant, held on to it, and made it into something fantastic. So
amazing. Yeah, everybody told me to go there, but don't go there for the food. But
you can go there for the food now. You can now.
Okay,
I
good.
heard,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah, but
can't vouch.
Cartman says so.
Carmen says.
Yeah.
All right. Bubba Hotep 2, since we started in our interview with Bubba Hotep since we began it. Shouldn't there be a Bubba Hotep 2?
I mean, what is Bruce Campbell doing? Why is he messing with us?
I mean, other than making billion-dollar Marvel movies. I mean, what is Bruce Campbell doing?
Well, but no, like, what is he doing that's like his old stuff? Like, we know where he's been. I'm just saying,
I do think Multiverse of Madness had the exact right instincts of Bruce Campbell. I think is one of the greatest slapstick physical comedians of our time. And that scene from was Evil Dead 2 where his hand comes alive and he's like fighting his own hand and it's breaking plates across his head, and it's like that is like pure Buster Keaton silent era slapstick. And they, at least Multiverse of Madness was smart enough to like just have okay, we're gonna just make Bruce Campbell slap himself for the entire movie. And I would go to a theater and pay serious dollars just to watch a whole movie of Bruce Campbell beating himself up, because I mean he's good at it. It's hilarious.
As a sound person, it's really unfortunate because I'm 33. I was born literally 1990. And how many I was around. I grew up around older people, so I was exposed to not normal things for my generation. But when I'm on a set and I'm doing sound and I'll hold my boom pole up and I'm like, this is my boomstick. No one gets it. No one gets it. Like maybe one guy, in the back, and he's like, yeah, but like, but like no one gets it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep saying it. Maybe one day someone will surprise me. Like that's my age who gets that joke. It's a good joke.
I realize like the 90s and younger, they've seen the newer Evil Dead movies, but they don't have respect for the old Evil Dead movies, which had some horror but some quirky comedy mixed into it. And
I think because they didn't see it at the right age.
No.
They saw it too old. It didn't get them as kids. I saw it as a kid. I thought it was funny. I didn't understand everything, but I definitely remember laughing, So I don't know. I have hope for my generation, though. I have hope.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, that is, I mean, I can't really, due to the strike and the confines, talk too much about my acting side of things, but that's actually something I've tried to do and honor in some of these projects I've been involved with. Is a good horror movie is also a comedy, because you need the laughter to break up and recover from the screams, and the screams are more intense if you've had a good belly laugh along with it. And so I a lot of my characters, I've tried to be the wink, the wink in the movie where there's something a little crazy, a little absurd, a little memorable, to get people chuckling, so that later on when all the jump scares and the screaming starts, I've done some goofiness in between. So
that's amazing. So where can we find you?
You can find me on social media at Real Greg Talley, all social platforms, and Hollywood Studios, and Damn Dirty Drive-In, and the Best Western Denver Southwest, aka the Dino Hotel.
I'm gonna check it out. Listen, I'm actually meeting. There's a convention in Denver next year, so I'm gonna be out there.
Is it the horror one?
Colorado Festival of Horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brett
I'll be there
Smith?
for that.
Oh yeah, never
Nice.
heard of him.
Yeah, no, we don't know that.
No.
We don't know who that
Okay.
is. Yeah.
I'll be out there. I'm gonna hit you guys up. I want to see this Dino
Yeah.
Hotel.
Please come on by.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I just definitely want to see now that what's it called, Casa
Bonita.
Yes.
Casa
Casa
Bonita.
Bonita.
Now that the guys who own South Park own it, I gotta check.
Yeah.
It out.
Hallie, where can we meet you?
Oh,
Yes,
you can find me Hallie Capone, all platforms. Misfits of the Profane is on YouTube. And I think that's it. I'm everywhere. Hollywood Studios as well.
She's everywhere.
I am everywhere.
Listen, guys, it's been an absolute blast. Everyone, look out also too for Disco Diablo. It's gonna be coming out sometime next year, winter time. So
Christmas, winter-ish time.
ish time.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us,
Yeah,
Travis.
thank
It
you.
was
It's
super
It's
great
been
to
a
be here.
blast. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys, everyone come back on and promote anything, please hit me up.
Absolutely. We look forward to that $10 million check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Yeah.
But now that I know that you're going to make 20 movies, I don't know. I mean,
Consider it, my friend. I mean,
can you at least make one of them like a $3 million? Can you use $3 million for one of them?
Yeah.
If we're tax dodge, yeah, sure.
Okay. All right.
absolutely. All
And
right.
can one of them be Boba Hotep too?
Oh my God, please. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Yes. That's an automatic yes. If Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell's in it, like, yes, that's
Absolutely.
That's $3 million. I'll spend it all. Like,
Bruce, we need you to beat the crap out of yourself for 90 minutes.
yeah. Oh,
Can
man.
you do that?
All right, guys. Definitely check them out. Listen,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.